Greetings to all in the love and light of the one infinite creator, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Seattle Law of One podcast on meditation. Mentioned more than 2,400 times in the L&L research channeling transcripts, meditation is without a doubt the most frequently recommended spiritual practice by our friends in the Confederation. For those who are new to meditation or still learning, how can we learn to love and enjoy the practice of meditation? What different forms of meditation are there, and which is best for you? Let's find out. My name is Jonathan Tong, and I'm facilitator for the Seattle Law of One study group. We can be found in the list of study groups on the L&L Research webpage shown on your screen. We do also have a Facebook group, and we do meet twice a week on Zoom at the time shown on your screen. You don't have to live in Seattle or anywhere near Seattle to join our Facebook group or join our Zoom sessions. Anyone who's interested and available is welcome to. Just go ahead, send us an email at the address shown on your screen, and we'll put you on our mailing list so you can get weekly updates to let you know what we're doing that week and and the Zoom links. We do also have a YouTube channel where we keep recordings of this podcast series, as well as Q&A sessions with Jim McCarty and Gary, Trish, and Austin from the L&L Research Channeling team. If you have not subscribed yet, would encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you get notifications of new uploads. We generally do one upload a week. If you're watching on TV, we do have each episode divided into chapters, so you can skip through by chapters if you don't want to watch the whole episode from beginning to end. If you're watching on a computer, if you click on the video link down beneath the video screen, you should see a list of topics and timestamps. You can click on the timestamps to skip through topics as suits your need. So as mentioned, our episode today is on the topic of meditation. Let's go ahead and meet our panelists. Panelists, if you could introduce yourselves by name and where you're calling from, that would be great. Starting with Jasmine.
Thank you, Jonathan. My name is Jasmine Harris. I live in Gurdon, Arkansas.
Welcome, so great to have you here. And Mohammed?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jonathan. How are you? I'm speaking to you all from Beirut, Lebanon.
So wonderful to join you from long distance. And Elaine?
Hi, friends. My name is Elaine Lucia. I live in Santa Rosa, California, and I'm so happy to be with all of you today.
Nice. Yeah, so thankful to have the three of you joining us today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. For our viewers, I just wanted to remind you that none of us here are experts on meditation. For those who have been meditating for a long time, there's a fair chance that somebody's going to say something you disagree with, and we will almost certainly leave out some things that you would consider to be important. But we are just another random group of students of the Law of One, sharing our own experiences, our own practices, and our own understandings, for lack of a better word, of what our friends in the Confederation have said about it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I did want to first acknowledge that meditation as a spiritual practice has long been part of Hinduism and Buddhism and other spiritual paths that have been around for a long time. So much of the Law of One, as we've learned about it, has Christian overtones and undertones, largely because Carla was a devout Christian. Jim McCarty still is a devout Christian, maybe not in the way that conservative Christians would agree with, but probably in a way that more liberal, progressive Christians would very much respect. So either way, it's nice to see teachings on aspects of Eastern spirituality and the Law of One that kind of brings some balance and diversity to the teachings. There are three big things, I think, from Eastern spirituality that are mentioned quite frequently in the Law of One: meditation, chakras, and karma. We're not really going to say anything about chakras or karma today. We're going to save those for another episode. But we are going to talk quite a bit about meditation. So it's worth noting that The goal of Buddhist meditation, you could say, is mindfulness, focusing on the body, breathing, and thoughts to rise above emotions and experience reality in the present moment. Buddhists might also use meditation to develop wisdom and compassion, improve their general well-being. You could say the goal of Hindu meditation is to focus the mind on experiencing union with the divine, or to lose one's sense of self and duality. Hindus and Buddhists both might use meditation to achieve liberation from reincarnation. In that sense, you could say meditation in the Law of One is all of those things and more. So let's take a look at what Kuo has said about meditation. Pretty much all of the passages that we're going to look at today come from the entity known as Kuo. So who or what is Kuo? For folks who are new to the Law of One, you do have to accept that all the readings and teachings that we're looking at today have come to us through a process called channeling. You could say that channeling is a form of telepathic communication between humans and non-physical entities, such as angelic beings, extraterrestrial beings, spirits of the deceased, higher self, inner planes, entities, and so on. A channel serves as a mouthpiece for a non-physical entity to speak through. There's two main types of channeling that have been used by our friends at L&L Research. Trance channeling is when the channel is in a trance state, subconscious or unconscious, as if they are asleep and really not aware at all of what's being said. That's pretty much how the raw contact came about, and that is Carla pictured at right in her trance state. And that is a Bible above her head opened to the first page of the Gospel of John, because as we said, Carla was a very devout Christian and felt a great desire and need to be of service to the entity that she worshiped of Christ, and asked Jesus to always be there to protect her and make sure that what she was doing was in the light of love and not something negative or dark. Conscious channeling is when the channel is conscious but in a deep meditative state. They are somewhat aware of the words that are coming out of their mouth, but not completely. And this is how the Kuo contact was made and has been made. So who is Kuo? You could say that Kuo is a group entity made up of three social memory complexes: Ra at 6th density, Latui at 5th density, and Hatan at 4th density. What is a social memory complex? You could say it's like an entire planetary consciousness. It would be as if the entire human population of Earth merged into one group mind. And that is apparently the next step in human evolution as we've come to understand it. You could think of it as kind of like the group mind of an ant colony or a bee colony or such. What are densities? You can think of densities as like different levels of spiritual evolution, kind of like grades in school, kind of related to different levels of consciousness. So you could say that humans are at 3rd density. We have a level of consciousness that's above plants and animals, which you could say is in turn above the level of consciousness of the elements of earth, fire, water, and air. And it is indeed at 4th density that social memory complexes are first formed and continue on through 5th, 6th, and 7th density. So that is basically what we mean when we say Kuo is a group entity made up of apparently 3 planetary consciousnesses merged into one group or one group entity. And they are from Ra at 6th density, Latui at 5th density, and Hatan at 4th density. The first contact with Kuo was made by the L&L channeling team in 1986, almost 2 years after the end of the Ra contact in 1984. And they have been channeled every month since then up to the present day by the L&L research team. You can find session transcripts in the L&L Research Conscious Channeling Library. If you go to the L&L Research page, click on Channeling, click on Conscious Channeling Library, you will see all the transcripts dating back from 1972 all the way up until this past year, continuing on. So what has Kuo said? Let's talk a little bit about what the purpose of meditation is. On December 20th, 1987, Kuo said the purpose of meditation is to open up the heart portion of the mind For the analytical portion of the mind carries you through most of your culture's activities, but the mind-heart has within it a deeper way, a more centered truth, a more balanced bias, and in the end, a bias which moves more and more closely to that bias which you wish at the end of your incarnation to offer the Creator as your life gift. A life is a solid, sometimes bulky present to offer to the Infinite One, yet each laugh, each smile, each encouragement to one who needed it, each hard truth to one who needed it, each and every effort that has been made is as the wrapping and the decorating and the wonderful ribbons about that solid, caring present to the Creator that is a channeled life. Again, just a reminder that all of these reading passages that we're looking at came through this process of conscious channeling, and the people who were saying these words were really just in a very deep, deep, deep meditative state, making what we believe to be telepathic contact with this entity that identifies itself as being extraterrestrial or even angelic. In the second passage from February 8th, 2009, Kuo said, "The goal of meditation, then, is to create the progressive increase of awareness of one's true nature as a being of love. It is an awareness or complex of awarenesses that can be sustained to a degree when you open your eyes and come out of meditation and re-enter the noisy world of the everyday. When meditation is practiced regularly, the results begin to multiply." I think what I like most about these two passages is that they are really emphasizing the purpose of meditation to experience the self as a being of love. And that's not something I usually hear about associated with meditation from Hindu practices or Buddhist or otherwise. Panelists, I would love to hear your thoughts, any thoughts or reflections that you have on anything here. Jasmine, would you mind starting us off? Any thoughts, reflections on anything here?
I love this passage because for me, coming to the practice of meditation, I was that person who relied 100% on my analytical mind. And honestly, I did not know that there was another way to process information. And I did not know that some of the most important information to process was not, in fact, done with my conscious mind. It was done below the level of my consciousness. So when I started my meditation practice a few years ago, that was one of the first realizations that I came to. And I noticed, as Kuo says, the more I meditated, the longer I could stay um, in that space of being at peace with the world and with myself. And it was truly a transcendent moment when I realized that, a good portion of my day now is spent in a quasi-meditative state.
Wow, that's beautiful. When did you say you started meditation?
I'd say I started my practice seriously about 2.5 years ago. I've meditated for about 15 years, but it was kind of hit and miss, on and off. But when I say I started my practice about 2.5 years ago, maybe almost 3 years ago, that's meditation on a daily basis, preferably in the mornings and in the evenings, occasionally a brief meditation during the middle of the day.
Nice. Yeah, I'm relatively new to it myself. I only started meditation probably about 2, 3 years ago, and it's something I resisted for a long time because I just didn't feel like I had the ability to sit still in silence for that long. And still is a challenge, but we'll talk more about that later. Mohammed, do you have any thoughts, reflections to share on these passages or your own thoughts on the purpose of meditation?
Oh, yes, I just want to say firstly that I agree with Jasmine because Hatan, in one of the first sessions in the 1970s, he said that the connection between the intellect and reality are based on really thin fabrics. And that is why we need to meditate. So we intuitively know the truth and live by the truth. and that is unconditional love being all around us. This is something that no matter how much you think about, it won't really make sense, but you just have to see it for yourself when you meditate.
Indeed. And I would imagine it takes a lot of meditation for that. Thank you for sharing. Elaine, any thoughts, reflections to add?
Jasmine and Mohammed have both stated that beautifully. I've been meditating as a practice only for, I would say, 2 years now, because of the law of one and their constant admonition for us to use meditation to get closer to the one. And I love the the conscious work on finding our true selves through meditation, which is as the creator. So yeah,
Indeed.
beautiful.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me. There was a third passage that I meant to read through, and I forgot to do that. We should probably take a look at that one. On March 3rd, 2019, not that long ago, Quo said, "The purpose in most meditative states is union with the one creator. There is a rhythm to the creation that each entity may become aware of in its movements, so that it may blend its movements with the great dance of the one creator that exists in each moment and each experience. So each entity so dancing or moving or vibrating its vocal cords or chanting in any manner whatsoever may be deemed proper, is also utilizing another path to the one creator. Each of these means of experiencing the creator may be seen as likened to the spokes of a wheel, which all lead to the center, so that the wheel turns in a balanced fashion, allowing the traveler of each spoke to become aware of the one within all as it practices the meditation, the chanting, or the dance." There's two things that really strike me about this passage, and one is the idea that the purpose of meditation is union with the one creator and recognizing the creator in oneself. That's something that I see in the law of one that I really haven't seen in any other organized religions. This idea that you are not separate from the creator. You are, in fact, each of us is the one infinite creator. That's a very beautiful thing that I always felt, I think, on some level a long time ago, but it wasn't until I read the law of one that I saw that like being affirmed or confirmed. The other thing that I really appreciate here is the second part in blue, where it says each entity so dancing or moving or vibrating its vocal cords or chanting in any manner whatsoever may be deemed proper, is also utilizing another path to the one creator. This kind of speaks to the question of what different types of meditation are there. And I think a lot of people are under the impression that meditation is sitting in the lotus position in silence or oming or something. And our friends in the Confederation are saying there's many different forms of meditation, including ones we'll look at in a couple more passages. Otherwise, why don't we go ahead? Let's look at those other passages while we're at it. On March 16th, 1986, Quo said, "Some there are who benefit from meditating at great length. Some there are who benefit from meditating a few minutes in each day. And some there are whose meditations are in action, and through action they are centered and one with all that there is." In another passage on, October 14th, 2005, Quo said, "We do not insist upon any particular kind of meditation and believe that there are many different variations on meditation that are equally helpful. There are some who find working and walking in nature to be their most effective visit to their own heart of hearts. There are others who find open-eyed meditation, gazing, for instance, at a white sheet or white wall, to be the most helpful form of meditation. There are others who find visualization a very helpful focus for meditation, and others who find chanting or mantra helpful. We encourage you to follow any and all of these variations in entering the silence until you have found one that you really feel is your own. Then, my brother, make it your own. Create a rule of life for yourself. That includes the daily observance of these disciplines. This basic reserving of time is a tremendously powerful resource and creates an environment for enhanced spiritual growth. Love the different examples that they give in there of different forms of meditation. Panelists, any thoughts, what forms of meditation do you practice in particular? Mohammed, do you mind sharing a little bit about your own meditative practice?
Sure. Sure. Well, firstly, you do have the basic kind of meditation that is to just be in silence and, try to open yourself to the unconditional love that is all around you. That is one way, but, this one way is really challenging for many, and many cannot reach it that simple. So I believe in what I do personally is I firstly dedicate some time where I just let all of my thoughts and all of my emotions rise and give them, the benefit of the doubt to express themselves, even if they may not be this unconditional love, but just making sure that there's freedom of expression and then letting it all out. And eventually afterwards, it's much easier to express, this unconditional love.
Nice. So you are sitting in silence during that time?
Yes, usually it's like 10 minutes, just clearing out your thoughts, maybe balancing some emotion that may have arisen throughout your day, or maybe a thought form that's, in the way. You just, express it, then send it unconditional love and accept it, maybe forgive yourself for it. If it's, something that you find unideal on the path, then afterwards it becomes much easier to just be in silence and, receive this love from the universe.
That's beautiful. And you have a regular time of day that you do that, or you do it random times?
For sure. No. I do it twice in the day, usually around 40 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes where I'm just dedicated to silence, and 10 minutes beforehand where I'm just like expressing myself. I do this in the morning and at night. If I have time, I might do it later in the day, halfway through, but I don't always have time.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Elaine, would you mind sharing with us a little bit about your meditation practice? Let's see, Elaine, I believe your mic is muted.
Sorry. Oops. Sorry about that. Yes, I am a very early riser, so I get up before everyone, and I have a dedicated space, and I light candles and incense because I just love the ritual of it, and it gets me into starting my day. So I sit there and I start with gratitude right off the bat, and I also state my intention and ask my guides and my higher self and Kuo and Ra and all the angels to be with me as I intend to be an instrument for the one infinite creator in whatever ways that means. And then I go through my energy chakras and start with the lower three, and that takes up a lot of time because I'm processing a lot of catalysts, I guess, in my morning meditation ritual, with the goal of getting to my heart center, and from there, um, hopefully progressing to the fifth chakra and balancing the heart with wisdom as I go about my day. I rarely get that high up. So my meditation sessions in the morning are probably a half hour, 40 minutes long, and then I have to start my day. I also do meditation throughout the day. I find that, things happen and I need to come into myself, find that space, remind myself that whatever's going on, to look for the creator, look for the love in this moment, um, see the creator, see the love in this moment. If I am struggling to see it, to bring it, bring the love to the situation and be the love in the situation. And so that's kind of my little mantra throughout the day. Um, And then
Beautiful.
before I go to
Hey, do you
sleep.
mind if I ask
Yeah.
you, could you go back to the chakra work and unpack
Mhm.
that a little bit for us? Like, how
Uh,
do you go about working on your lower chakras?
I use visualization. I visualize my root chakra as a red ruby spiraling energy, crystallized energy. And sometimes it takes a while to get to that clarity, that sparkling visualization. And I have a ruby crystal that I hold while I do this. And as I'm visualizing that, I kind of go through any catalyst or anything that may be blocking that energy. And generally speaking, I don't have that blockage in the red ray root chakra. Then I go to the orange ray, the second chakra, and I hold an orange carnelian crystal. And this is, for me, the chakra where I struggle with self-love. And so I have certain meditations, prayers, contemplations that I go through at this energy chakra, um, and visualize that orange ray as a sparkling, spiraling light to then go into the third chakra, the yellow ray, which is where we all are right here in third density, and uh, family groups um, uh, create or present a lot of catalyst for me, and I spend a lot of time here. um, and it's all about forgiveness, compassion, understanding that those the other selves are us, and getting to that is, I think, the key to kind of clearing this chakra, and then moving into the green ray, where I hopefully spend a lot of time and send, once I get there, uh, my meditation is all on sending out that unconditional love to the planet, to everyone, to hotspots in the world, to anyone who's suffering, to, you know, yeah. And by that time, 40 minutes has gone by.
Yeah,
And I'm
that
getting
is a
sore
beautiful
and I
practice.
got to move.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
yeah.
I
So,
appreciate your sharing that because that's
yeah.
not really something that's part of my meditative practice. And so I was really interested to hear how you do it. And I did want to note for our viewers that, yeah, if you are familiar with chakras, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, yeah, that is actually a big part of the Law of One. And our friends in the Confederation talk a lot about chakras. They call them energy centers, but they really correspond. The same colors of the chakras in Hindu traditions are basically the same colors that Elaine was talking about and that are spoken about in the Law of One. Jasmine, would you mind sharing with us a little bit about your meditation practice and how you do it?
Sure. There's a number of different types of meditations, as the passage mentioned. And honestly, I find that it's dependent on what's going on with me that day, which is kind of what determines which meditation I do. I do have a standard ritual, as Elaine mentioned. I have a special place in my she shed that's devoted strictly to mystical work. No one is allowed to be in that space, and I use that space only for mystical work. I have a separate space that I use for my Reiki practice, because there's different meditations for Reiki. So generally speaking, I find that my go-to meditation is mystical meditation. That's basically the one that I do every day. As I had mentioned before, I am an active member of the Rosicrucian Order, and there is one particular meditation that, and this is not giving away any secrets, you can find this at their website, but there is one meditation, Enter the Celestial Sanctum. And so in that meditation, I call it a mystical meditation because the intent is to raise your consciousness and to raise your vibration to the level of the cosmic. And so it really is a meditation to help get your individual consciousness aligned with cosmic consciousness. But that's what I do in the mornings before I start my day. But in the evenings, I also do a very brief 16-minute meditation that is primarily chanting and reciting certain tones that have been shown to affect certain centers of the body, specifically the psychic center, the thyroid, the pancreatic region of the body. So I do that meditation in the evening, just literally in bed, just before I fall asleep. But as a course of some regularity, I've done loving kindness meditation, transcendental meditation. I've done a number of guided meditations, and I've started making my own using Audacity. I record my own meditations so that I can play them back. I put them on my phone so that I can play them back to myself. And of course, I practice mindfulness meditations and mindfulness throughout the day.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that. If I remember right, you said that you're also either already doing it or getting ready to teach a class on meditation for beginners. If I'm remembering that correctly, would you mind sharing a couple tips maybe at this point for folks who have never meditated before and are trying to think of a way to get started?
Sure. I am working on scripting a beginner meditation course right now. You know, I really hope to have it done and ready and on a platform by the end of the year. But one of the things that I've heard from several people is they feel that they can't meditate. They don't, number one, they don't have the time. It's, you know, you don't have time to sit for 40 minutes. My meditations, my mystical meditations are typically about 30 in the morning. People say that they don't have the time and they can't quiet their mind. And so I really start people out with letting them know that meditation can happen very spontaneously throughout the day and throughout your work day. And in fact, there is something called an instant meditation. Once you've trained your mind to understand that when you take 3 deep breaths and when you sit in a certain position, it's time to lower your consciousness and drop into a meditative state. That can happen instantly. So the first thing that I do, or the first tip that I would give people, is if you have 5 minutes, you know, like a Reiki teacher told me about Reiki. Some people say only have 2 minutes I could only have 2 minutes per area of the body to perform Reiki. And like she said, 2 minutes is better than no minutes. So start out with 5 minutes. And once you realize that you can actually sit still and thoughts will come and go, which are perfectly natural, just allow them to pass. Then you slowly move up to maybe 10 minutes. So that's long and short. What I would really encourage people to do is start out small. And in the class that I'm scripting, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start out with 5-minute meditations so that people can see that they can do it and start to build some success and start to build some confidence.
Nice. Well, I appreciate your sharing the tips on that, and I hope those are helpful for some of our viewers watching this. Yeah, I myself do a number of different meditations too. Like I said, I resisted for a long time because I just didn't feel like I could sit in silence for that long. But I have found after reading some of these passages and some of these teachings, I realized there's lots of different forms of meditation. And anything that allows you to feel the presence like you are with the Creator, at one with the Creator, anything that helps you feel like you are channeling love of the Creator can be a form of meditation. So oftentimes I love to put on some good music and just kind of dance to it and vibe to it. And I'll do square breathing and take in that breath and that energy for 4 counts, hold it and bless it for 4 counts, exhale and breathe it out and send it out as a blessing to Mother Earth, to creation for 4 counts, and rest for 4 counts. That's what the square breathing is. But I also do like sitting meditation, and I do like using the Om chant. And I did want to share a little bit on that in particular, since we do that with our group meditations. The Seattle Law of One group, we meet twice a week on Tuesday afternoons and Saturday mornings Pacific time. And for each of those Zoom sessions, we do 20 minutes of Gaia meditation. And we usually play a recording of Om chanting for folks like me who that is helpful for, and then everyone else who has other forms of meditation. We always encourage people to do whatever meditation practice they're comfortable with. But it is worth noting in session 74, question 17 of the Raw Contact, Ra did make a reference to Hebrew and Sanskrit vowels, saying these sound vibration complexes have power before time and space and represent configurations of light which built all there is. And yeah, in Hindu traditions, Om represents the one eternal syllable that includes everything in past, present, and future. It encompasses all potentialities and possibilities, everything that was, is, or yet to be, which sounds a lot like what Ra just described in session 74. It's believed that chanting Om in meditation helps us vibrate in sympathy or harmony with the core vibrations of the universe, also referred to as the music of the spheres. And there was one interesting channeling session on January 3rd, 1999. Carla said, I noticed that when I say your name in channeling, there seems to be an ah before your name when I verbalize it. I wonder what I was picking up. Quo says, the beginning of the identification, which you have noticed, is that sound of, as we have discovered, your people call it the spheres, the great Om, which those of Ra partake of in a more balanced fashion. Thus, the sound of the ah is a kind of bleed through or a vibratory range that somewhat overlaps the blending of our 2 sound vibration complexes. Overlaps and underlies, for the sound of the spheres is that music that is available to any entity which has tuned itself to the one creation. So if it's something that you would be open to be doing, I would say go on YouTube and just type in Om channeling, Om chanting, and you'll find all sorts of recordings of it. Maybe find one that seems to be in a comfortable vocal range for you. But when I do it, I feel like I'm kind of tuning into the same vibrations that are part of Ra's native vibration and part of the music of the spheres. So encourage people to consider checking that out. Otherwise, I did want to take a look at the question of what is the best meditation for me. Let's see what Ra said about this. Session 1740, questioner, is there a best way to meditate? Ra, I am Ra. No. Session 49, question 7. Will you recommend a technique of meditation? Ra, I am Ra. No. So Ra can be a real dick sometimes, in case you haven't noticed it. I crack up whenever I see those passages. It reminds me that you would never want to have Ra as a high school teacher, because if you had to ask Ra if he can use the bathroom, Ra undoubtedly would say, I don't know, can you? They're just Ra is very technical, very concise in their wording, which is why some people like me prefer Quo. They are way more wordy, oftentimes too wordy for people to work through. But their language in many ways is kind of more down at my level. They have a more emotional tone to it that you don't usually get in Ra. And their language is often quite poetic. For example, this was actually a channeling from Latouille in 1985, June 2nd, 1985. Latouille said, "There are many, many means of meditation which can allow one to experience the unity of all creation. It is, however, not so important the means by which one meditates as it is the desire which fuels the meditation. Whatever path is chosen must needs be chosen with a desire that burns incessantly. For that which you desire is that which you shall gain, and that which you shall realize. You shall realize it in a direct proportion to that desire. Choose whatever means you wish, whatever feels right to you, my brother, whatever means you seem to have a natural ability to exemplify in your meditations, whether it be to watch the breath, to focus upon one point, to focus upon a concept, be it love or wisdom, to focus upon a mantra, to do this or do that. Whatever you do, do with a desire to be one with all." And on October 19th, 1986, Kuo said, we would have no specific meditational technique to offer above all others, for each shall find a particular way of seeking in the meditative state, which shall be more efficacious than others. Yet the variety of choices is large. Each choice, however, to be most efficacious, in our opinion, needs to be based upon the great desire to seek what you may call the truth within each portion of one's life, and then in a particular portion of the daily experience, choose to reflect the light which one has received back to the Creator in a manner of communing with the one Creator, which will allow the seeker then to become aware of the essence of all things within the life pattern. Love those passages there, and I love what is being said. I believe there is another passage also from Kuo on October 16, 2010. He said, "There are even ways to tabernacle with the Infinite One that do not seem to be silent. This instrument, for instance, often sings hymns that place her in a certain frame of mind and move her into worship and devotion. These offer the same benefit as the silence. Again, it is a matter of the repetition of your practice. That which works for you, we encourage you to repeat. Repeat it again and again, and continue through the chances and changes of everyday life, the good times and the difficult ones, until that habit is so much part of your experience that lacking it, you hunger and thirst for it and must seek it again." I think it touches on what I think our panelists have spoken of already, which is whatever you do, find something that works for you and stick with it. Maybe start with a short 2-minute, 5-minute meditation, and then build on it. And like everything else, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, until it gets to a point where you really want the meditation and miss it when you're not able to. Panelists, Elaine, did you have any thoughts on these passages or anything else related to this?
Well, the second paragraph here, music is such an important part of my meditation practice. And it's not even a practice, it's just part of who I am. Singing my whole life has been a healing practice, and I was completely unconscious of it, of course, as a child, and not until just a few years ago when I discovered the law of one. The vibrational, well, I always knew that music was a healing energy, but how we can channel that energy and ride those vibrations to connect with the creator and with each other. So I love that Carla was a singer, and singing just was a part of her practice. That was, it was a gift that she had, and we all have the gift of music in us. You don't have to be a great singer. It's just the energy and the vibration of it that can be used as a meditation energy. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. To
For sure.
listen to music while you're meditating, to make music while you're meditating, to vocalize, whether it's Om or just a song that means a lot to you. or just, I mean, I used to vocalize Italian vowels, and I would imagine the energy centers as I sang the scale. Each note was going higher and higher up in my energy chakra, and yeah, it was like, wow.
That
Kind
is
of a
so
trip.
beautiful.
It was
Yes.
very healing. So I love that they say it's ways of meditating are as unique as each individual one of us. There's
Yeah, I
no
found it
right way.
really
Whatever
reassuring.
feels good.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Whatever works for you is what they're saying, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's such a beautiful, reassuring thing to hear. Like I said, I really had it stuck in my mind that, oh, I have to be in silence. And that was a real stumbling block for me. So to hear that it doesn't have to be in silence, there's lots of people who listen to flute music or other music while they're meditating. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Jasmine, any thoughts, reflections to add on this or anything else?
Yeah, I love what Elaine said. And there's one point though that I would have to disagree with her. Everybody has music in them. No, I do not. Uh, and I do include music in all of my meditations, and for the other studies that I do, as I said, there are certain vowel sounds that we are asked to learn to intone because of the benefits it has to our psychic body and to our physical body. It cannot do it. I really, literally, honestly sound like a group of dying cats being drowned. So I think Elaine is so blessed that she can use her voice, because I agree that, and she's absolutely correct, from everything that I've read and learned and studied, the vibrations of music, of certain tones, really do, and they can have a profound effect on us. And so my way around it, as I said in my meditations, I have recorded meditations and I have music in the background. What I did find, however, is I was encouraged by someone else when I told them I cannot make these sounds. I have no voice to do this. I was encouraged that if you imagine the sound in your mind, it can have the same effect. And I did not honestly
Yes.
believe it until 2 days ago. During my meditation, during my vowel intonations, I listened to a person who sings the note beautifully. And I imagined it in my mind. I did it in my mind. And I had a
Hmm.
physical effect. So even though I'm not Elaine, I have no voice. I can still use music and singing in my meditations.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I was going to note, yeah, I'm not necessarily sure if I would agree that every single person on the planet
Well,
has musical abilities, but yeah,
may I clarify? May I clarify?
sure. Go
We
ahead.
all we all have our tone. We all vibrate with our energy that manifests as light, right? Quo says they can see our
Right,
colors.
right,
Same thing with our tone. We each have, and I call that the voice that everyone does have. So that's kind of what I meant when I said everyone has music. But also, quote does mention somewhere that you're correct. You do not have to vocalize physically these tones. Just thinking them, imagining them, um, is just as powerful.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful way to think about it, and it never occurred to me to think about it that way. So definitely appreciate that. Mohammed, did you have anything to add? Any thoughts, reflections on anything here?
Honestly, I don't have much to add because I love the silence, and I may not be able to relate to many who enjoy, music or, I mean, many I've heard in sports, when they're in a meditative state, they call it the zone, being in the zone. Again, I'm not familiar with that. I'm a really silent individual, so I love the silence. So to me, I mean, I may not be with Elaine on this one. Sorry.
Well, I appreciate you're using the sports analogy because I've definitely heard of that too, of being in the zone. And I would say in many ways,
Yes,
that is very much a meditative state. When you're in that
exactly.
state of consciousness where time is kind of wonky, I would say that's definitely important.
Yep.
Let's take a look at the question of how long should I meditate? I know we've already talked about that a little bit, and I had a few passages on the subject that I think might be illuminating. On October 15th, 1989, Kuo said, "We suggest that the meditations be limited to perhaps no more than an hour per day, perhaps no more than a half hour at any one sitting. This is due to the fact that meditation is a very powerful tool, and the rate of change needs to be slow enough that the personality of your consciousness may have time to absorb knowledge and inspiration that it receives and make its choices in a timely and deliberate manner. It is not well to rush or to hurry the spiritual life, for the soul has its leisure, and in the fullness of time, all things are accomplished. It cannot be known within the illusion which day is the day of jubilee for one entity, and that is not important. To seek the happiness, the contentment, this is not important. To seek the presence of the Infinite One, this is a great aid, and we suggest that we do this most gently, most lovingly, opening to the subconscious as a suitor with bouquet and candy, knowing the spirit to be sweet and precious, the nature of love." And I just wanted to remind everyone watching this again, all of this is being channeled. If you talk to the person who channeled this and asked them the same question, they wouldn't be able to answer it in this way. And I don't know anybody who is as smart and wise as possible. They just don't speak like this. So to see these words coming out through this process, just, I don't know, whatever you feel about channeling, to just realize these are really special teachings and profound teachings. And it might not even matter that much where they're coming from. I mean, if you think about how much inspiration you've had from fictional characters in a TV show or a movie or a book you read that don't exist, but still changed your life, maybe you can look at these teachings the same way and not really worry about whether they're extraterrestrials or whether it's channeling is legitimate or something. But it's a beautiful passage. There's another one on September 30th, 1990. Kuo said, "We suggest at least a few minutes of meditation each day. We do not advise long meditations, except for those who meditate all the time and are aware of how much power there is in the silent, listening meditation. Rather, we recommend approximately 15 minutes, interestingly enough." On June 13th, 1976, an entity that identified itself as Oxal said, "You do not need to struggle from moment to moment, from thought to thought, from action to action. You only think you do, my friends, because you have not been taking your meditation into your life. If you cannot do it all the time, do it once and then do it again. 5 seconds, 1 minute of focused concentration in the spirit is far more beneficial to you than you can imagine." And lastly, on April 6, 2003, Kuo said, "If you only have 30 seconds or 2 minutes or 5, you may visit the gateway to intelligent infinity. Take the time whenever you can to release your energy body from its very strictures, to refresh it, open it up, and when you find yourself in the open heart, we greatly encourage your sitting there for a while with that one great original thought, that is love itself." Again, I think this kind of speaks to something that Jasmine was saying about start small, maybe not even 5 minutes. It is possible that if you're like super restless, that even sitting still for 1 or 2 minutes would be a good way to start. Jasmine, did you have any thoughts, reflections on any of these passages? Anything here?
Yeah, I do. I really like that, the last paragraph. If you have 30 seconds, what occurred to me when you read that is I think sometimes we forget that time as we know it, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, that is just a construct of our own third density consciousness. It's really not reality. And so I think it's intent. If you sit, perhaps what they're suggesting is if you sit down for 2 minutes and you have an intention to connect to cosmic consciousness, irrespective of how much time has passed on the clock, it can be accomplished. And so I really appreciate that quote, because I had not seen that before. And so that only validates some of the science that says, I think it was in Frontiers in Behavior, a neuropsychology journal, said that 10 minutes of meditation per day can have remarkable effects on one's physical condition, as well as their mental and emotional state. And so, again, I just like to encourage myself and others to remember, again, this time, the 2 hours that we're here, is it really 2 hours? Maybe, maybe not. It's a construct of our own consciousness and awareness. So it may take 1 minute to connect to the infinite. And that's all that you need.
Well said. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Elaine, any thoughts, reflections to add?
I was thinking the exact same thing, Jasmine, as Jonathan was reading this. You know, to quote, time is a completely different, has a different meaning than it does to us. And but because we have this space-time, linear time construct, we have to use, or I have to use that anyway, to take the steps to get myself to that silence, which I wanted to ask Mohammed if you would be willing to share how it is you're able to get to the silence. That's what I struggle with. I feel like my meditation is so active. There's so much going on, you know.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Mohammed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think your mic is muted. Are you speaking? Mohammed, your mic is muted. Do you want to unmute your mic?
Yes, yes.
There we go.
Could you hear me?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yes.
Your connection might be off. I'm not hearing you if you're speaking, and your picture looks frozen on my screen. Are you talking? Could you try it again? I think we might need to come back to Mohammed. You can go ahead and see if you can get things checked on your end. While we're doing that, I did want to note that, yeah, I usually have a regular time of 5:30 in the morning that I meditate for about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's usually the oming. I have a recording of om chanting that I like to listen to, and I usually put on earbuds and crank up the volume so that I can om along with it. I'm very self-conscious about my voice, so it helps me a lot to be doing it along with the recording and crank it up the earbuds, so I'm not so self-conscious about it. But the act of vibrating that very sacred sound, which has power before time and space, to me is very meaningful. Let's see, Mohammed, looks like you're back. Do you want to unmute your mic?
Yes, yes. I would
There we go. Yeah.
like to say that, yes, good. Yes, about meditation. To me, I haven't really delved into, saying vowels or Sanskrit words, so I don't have much experience, but I'm trying to and be as sincere as I can with my intent. That is personally what I go with the most.
We lost your sound there for a little bit. Maybe we would try again. I think Elaine wanted to know, how is it that you make meditating in silence work? How is it you're able to enter the silence in your meditation? Am I remembering your question correctly, Elaine? She says yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind speaking to that, Mohammed?
Yes, about, getting into the silent state.
Yes.
Yes, so simply, I just personally want to have to, get everything out of the way that, is critic, such as that may have arrived, any thought form that may have arrived, formed and express itself. And after a while, it subside. If you keep, expressing everything that comes your way, eventually you'll only be left with love. So that is the way to go with Nate personally.
Nice. Thank you. I did also want to note that other forms of meditation that Quo has mentioned before includes visualization or healing meditations. I think that's something that Jasmine might have alluded to a couple times in her practice of Reiki healing, using meditation as part of that. Praying for Mother Earth and visualizing peace on Earth and visualizing a more graceful transition into fourth density for Mother Earth is also a very powerful form of meditation. And it is something that our friends at L&L Research have been doing for quite a while that I did want to point out to you in case you didn't know this. The L&L research group started practicing Gaia meditations back in 2001. It was shortly after the 9/11 attacks in New York City, where they were trying to figure out what they could do to help on a metaphysical level, that they started doing these meditations, group meditations for peace and for Mother Earth, once a day. So they have been held daily, each day around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time. You could click on the link there. If you go to the L&L research page shown on your screen, click on Connect, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you'll see this information on the Gaia meditation. And you'll see there is a place where you could see where that would be, what time it would be in your local time. But we do our meditation, we do Gaia meditations at that same time every Tuesday in order to use the law of squares to strengthen the power or efficaciousness of our group meditations. And I do on my phone, I have a timer set to go off 1 minute before that time each day, so that I try to make a practice every single day of doing at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I'll do my oming, and I'm thinking about Mother Earth. I'm asking for angelic beings of all dimensions to enter this world and this dimension and bathe Mother Earth in the purest love light of the one infinite creator. Surround her with a shield of light to protect her from all who would wish her harm. And it's something I would encourage everyone to do if you can, to make that part of your meditations as well. You'll know that I'm there at least more or less each day for about 5 minutes at that time. Otherwise, panelists, let's talk a little bit about, I think I have another couple passages to share on this. Sorry, let me see if I can get back to my screen. On December 29th, 2007, Quo said, "If you put aside relationships so that you may spend more time meditating, if you devalue your work because you wish to be a spiritual person, you've lost your focus. For it is your whole self that is sacred. There is no detail, no matter how seemingly mundane of life, that is not bursting with the sacred and the divine. Consequently, although naturally we do encourage the meditation and the prayer and all of those beautiful ways of working in consciousness to discipline your personality and become centered more and more on who you really are, we also encourage you to look for the love and the sacredness in washing the dishes, cleaning the toilet, feeding the cat, and whatever it is that you are doing at the present moment. All of it is the dance of the one." And on February 8th, 2009, Quo said, "Meditation is not a practice apart from living. Indeed, it could easily be said that the goal of the meditative practice and the supporting moments of remembrance throughout the day and the evening is to so reconfigure the mind that it becomes easier and easier for the mind to dissolve into consciousness as a basic default setting for one's everyday life. It is well to have a slight tinge of meditative practice ongoing at every breath that you take. Such an access on a steady state to the deeper aspects of consciousness can indeed transform the life experience and certainly accelerate the path of spiritual evolution. I know somebody brought it up earlier today, and I really appreciate that thought, that meditation doesn't have to be something separate from your everyday life. That the idea, the goal, I would hope, is that you're always in a meditative state of consciousness in everything that you do, and everything you do is a channeling of love from the one infinite creator. Mohammed, did you have any thoughts, reflections to add on this part?
Oh yes, I've seen, many so-called monks who are, I mean, I obviously don't mean to judge them or anything, but they're very, they go down this path of austerity, I think it's called, where they're celibates and far away from societies, just, to seek union. While that is, a step towards the creator, I think it's kind of, uh, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot because, you remove the very important things that we come here to do, to support one another, to find love in those very mundane things, as Quoth said, feeding the cat or the daily jobs or being with your family and whatnot. So I think seeing the love in these moments is also necessary, and not just in meditation specifically, although it is a big tool.
For sure. Elaine, any thoughts, reflections to add?
Yeah, I think that all is a form of meditation. I mean, it's the label that we can put on it. But oh my goodness, I don't know. Sorry about that. Yeah, I when I'm doing my daily chores or e- even just cooking, folks are hungry. I always bring myself back to I'm doing this with love, to serve them. And I just go into gratitude. I think gratitude is a key and an open door into that meditative state throughout the day for me anyway. So yeah, that's kind of my way of recognizing those moments during the day. Um, and I guess you could call it meditation, but to me it's just sort of it's just being in the flow of all the blessings that we have and that are of the creator. That
Elaine, I believe your sound is breaking up. I think we lost you at the end there. But I appreciate your saying the focus on love. It reminds me that if you could sum up the law of one in one phrase, I think it would be all is one, and that one thing is love.
we all contain.
Indeed. Jasmine, anything to add or share on any of this?
I really appreciate what Mohammed said about some of the individuals who have chosen a path of separation and the austerity of being in a monastery. When I look at meditation, as Quo said, it's not a practice that is a part of life. I look at meditation as a tool to help me get through the day sometimes, or get through this life. Because I think when we take meditation and make it a religion, and all we do is sit around and meditate for 6 to 8 hours a day, but we've cut ourselves off from our other selves, that also means we're receiving no catalyst. So if I'm not being challenged, then I'm not growing. And I think one of the reasons that I'm here is to work on some of the things on that karmic wheel. and to overcome some of that karma so that I can definitely move to the next density. Well, I can't do that if I just sit here in my she shed away from my husband and the goats and the dogs and just meditate all the time, because I'm not getting anything to challenge me. Like you had said earlier, Jonathan, when you work out, at first it's hard when you're lifting 15 pounds, but within no time at all, 15 pounds feels like 5. And that's how you build. And I think that's how you build your psychic muscle, so to speak.
Well said. Thank you. For our viewers who are not familiar with the phrase she shed, I believe that is your version of a man cave. Am I understanding correctly? Nice. And if you're sitting in it, I'd say that is a really nice shed you got there. Let's take a look at another question, which is, what if I'm bad at meditation? There are a lot of folks who have been meditating for a long time, or at least trying to, but feel like they are not particularly good at it. On February 24th, 1991, Quo said, "Now, meditation has been greatly misunderstood among your peoples. It is thought that one is to make one's intelligence a blank tablet, a tabula rasa. One is supposed to find silence within. Only then, in that silence, is the meditation considered successful. This is not our understanding of the helpful value of meditation. The intention of those who meditate is that they may be open to spiritual grace, not knowledge, for there is no such absolute within third density but grace. Thusly, whatever thoughts come into the mind, even if they pelter one moment by moment, it is the resistance to this listening to the voices within that cannot be stilled that creates a poor meditation. If one is simply mindful and notes without emotion or condemnation each thought that moves through, allowing it to arise, allowing it to dissolve, then the meditation has done that which it was intended for. It has allowed the entity to step back from the trees and see the forest. It has removed the tension of judgment and consideration and allowed time that is truly free, a time in which the observer may simply watch thoughts arise and dissolve, not turning them away, not holding on to them. One may plan an entire menu, a shopping list, or any other thought whatsoever during meditation if it is observed without that feeling of necessity to solidify the intelligence of the mind around the shopping list or the menu. Let this thought about meditation sink deeply within each, for when one judges oneself for having a poor meditation, one has just stripped oneself of the saving help which is available to the meditator. The key of meditation is a silent, accepting, and non-judgmental observer, not that thing in itself. Never judge, calibrate, or measure in any way the spiritual work that you do. Firstly, that which is done out of fear, the fear of not being worthy, or any other fear, is liable to catastrophe. It is far, far better to have what is subjectively called a bad meditation and find the self being able to accept the bad meditator. Really appreciate what was said in this passage about not being judgmental. The phrase monkey mind comes up for a lot of people who have a hard time sitting in silence because their mind is constantly thinking about all sorts of things, like a monkey, for example. And I find this very reassuring that it's okay. You can have all of those thoughts in mind. You can be thinking about your menu or your shopping list or anything else. Just don't stick to it necessarily. Just let everything rise, let everything fall until hopefully, ideally, you reach that state of mind that Muhammad has talked about quite a few times in silence. Muhammad, anything to add?
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yes?
Yes, please.
Yes, I just want to say that I don't always get that state because it's hard. And I think Carla has stated clearly once that she was a bad meditator. And if someone isn't, a wander from that level and is said to have poor meditations, I think we should all accept one another too. Let's say have a bad session, let's say.
Indeed. Yeah, I believe that was the next passage I was going to share, was Carla asking about that very thing. Jasmine, did you have any thoughts, reflections to add?
Yeah, just a couple. I'm really not sure if I know what a bad meditation is. I've been encouraged that if you can meditate to, some people call it clear mind, that's wonderful, great. Most of us cannot do that. And so, as the passage says, I think we should learn to accept the fact that thoughts will occasionally present themselves during your meditation, and that's okay. They're like clouds in the sky. You simply let them flow through. I think a bad meditation happens, if there is such a thing, when you use that as an opportunity to once again denigrate yourself and convince yourself that you're just not good at anything. Look, you can't even sit still and meditate. But I really do appreciate what Quo said is essentially, I keep going back to intent. What is the intent of what it is that you're attempting to do? And hopefully the intent is to, again, not find just one more thing that you have failed at. Rather, the intent is to be with yourself, be mindful of yourself in this reality. At the same time, know that this reality is only subjective, that your true self and your true reality exists just on the other side of this meditation.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Hey, let's skip to that passage that Mohammed was alluding to, and then I would love to hear Elaine's thoughts on it. On April 25th, 1993, Quo said, "Could you address the problem of not being able to meditate so well?" Carla did actually say more than a few times, and Jim has affirmed this in our Q&A, is that Carla always thought she was a bad meditator, which for most people is kind of a surprising thing to hear. But she asked this question, and this is what Quo said: "Be assured that as you place yourself in a position to meditate, to open yourself to the experiences of love about you, that no matter what your perception of your experience of meditation might be, there is work accomplished there, not just in the intention to meditate, nor in the actual practice, whether perceived as well or poorly accomplished, but in those deeper portions of yourself to which contact is made during meditation, in order that these portions of your deeper self might be able to have their influence upon your perceptions in even the subtlest manner, is the opportunity that is most helpful to the seeker of truth. For as you travel through the deeper portions of your mind and open yourself to any experience that you find there, you conduct a harmonizing expedition, shall we say, bringing together various resources that are uniquely yours and applying them in a manner which is as mysterious as the heart of creation itself seems to each. Yet in all the mystery and confusion, the intention, the practice, and the contact with the deeper portions of the self will provide you with metaphysical food to fuel your journey further." Love that passage there, and the suggestion that even if you have what seems to be a bad meditation to you, there's things happening because you're exploring and reaching deep into your subconscious and trying to shine a light in the darkness. There's benefits that you might not even be aware of. Elaine, did you have any thoughts on this? Have you ever considered yourself to be bad at meditating? Or is it something that came naturally to you from the beginning?
I don't use the word bad, but I sort of I kind of chastise myself in the middle of meditating because well, first of all, I always have music going through my mind constantly. And I just realized that as a result of certain things I'm doing during meditation, a certain song will come into my mind or a certain piece of music, and I realize that that's a message that I'm getting from my higher self or from somewhere. That's the language that I hear. So I struggle with complete silence. I can't seem to go there. But I did have one experience that I want to share. Um, to get to that silence, I was using visualization, and I saw myself sitting on a stone bench in a room. And it was kind of dark and it was quiet. And I was like, okay, I was sort of observing this in my meditation. And all of a sudden, I was looking at myself from behind, and the figure of Jesus was sitting next to me on this bench. And I put my head on his shoulder, and he put his arm around me. And that was, I happened to be in a very pain-filled space when I was meditating. And that was the first time that I really felt like, wow, I've made a connection here that just felt so real, you know? And so I want to get back to that space because my goal was, can I get into that silent space? And when I visualized it, it seems like I was there and Jesus was there. So I was like, wow, I guess that works, you know? But I struggle with getting through the chaos and all of our 3D daily tasks that we need to do and just thoughts, you know.
What a beautiful
But it's
experience.
yeah, and it's just so comforting to read these passages that no matter what we think or how we judge our meditation experiences, um, our higher self or the deeper portions of ourselves are absolutely benefiting from our intentions and our struggles. You know, it's not meant to be easy, and we're not meant to arrive at any destination here in this incarnation like, okay, I'm a perfect meditator and I've got it all down. We're never going to get there. You
Well, and
know.
it's a good reminder that each of us is unique, and that, again, some folks find music and performing music or singing as a way to commune with the Creator. Other people find being in silence the way to do it. Each person is different, and it's a beautiful thing. Jasmine, did you have any thoughts, reflections to add?
Just that I do, like Muhammad, I do find silent meditations helpful, although that's not what I do all the time. And I have to say that since I had in the past this highly analytical mind, it was always going. I could just never stop that mind of mine. And through a series of a number of different types of activities and exercises, I came to understand that it was basically my ego mind afraid of experiencing ego death. So every time I tried to clear my mind, my ego would reassert itself and make sure that it knew that she was there and keep the dialogue, the mental dialogue going. And so now, in one of the meditations that I do, I actually had to get to a point where I had to gently ask her to please just sleep. And so got some pushback on that. And I continued to say, it's okay. I'll call you back later when I have a spreadsheet or something to do. But right now, sleep. And I have to consciously prompt myself when I'm meditating, no mind. And now I find that I can momentarily drop into that total silence. I don't want to say a void, but it is like a void. But then again, the conscious thoughts start to bubble up and ego starts to reassert itself. And then I simply, once again, prompt no mind. So for individuals who want to meditate in silence and who are having difficulty doing it, I really think that some of the practices of deep progressive breathing, where you are focused, your mind is going, but you're focusing on counting the breaths in, pause for 2, and you count the breaths out. Well, if you do that, if you count up to 25, you'll be surprised at how long it takes you to do that. And you have not had any thoughts, no grocery, no dog grooming appointment for the whole time. It was just 6 in, hold 2, 6 to 8 out. So that may be of help.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I do know there are quite a few people who use breathing exercises as part of their meditation as well. Mohammed, any thoughts, reflections to add on this?
Yes, man. I think I may have a very controversial opinion, but I do think that too much social media use can, dilute your power in meditation. I've noticed it with myself when I use too much social media, or I, maybe play video games, or, I overstimulate my mind. I just can't meditate. It's like, I'm sleepy. So I try to maybe read a book, maybe walk before meditation. It helps me a lot personally, and I've noticed a very distinct pattern with this.
I don't think there's anything controversial about that. I think most people would probably agree with that. Controversial would be like, yes, I like playing Grand Theft Auto to get it as a meditation. I feel like I'm communing with a creator when I'm playing a shoot 'em up game or something. I don't know. I appreciate your sharing that. How about if we take a look at one more question, and that is, how can I get help with meditation? On March 28th, 2009, Kuo said, "Those of the Confederation of Planets are happy to rest with you in your meditation and offer a carrier wave that will stabilize your own vibrations as they flicker a bit. We do not attempt to communicate at those times, but merely to be with you and to bathe you with our love." They have said this many, many, many times, and I'm just picking out one in particular. And I forgot to explain, we've used the word confederation a lot of times in this episode, and I don't think I explained anything about what that is. The entities known as Ra and Kuo and Latui and Oxal, every entity that we have mentioned today, is supposedly part of a collective group called the Confederation of Planets and the Service of the Infinite Creator. Sometimes they refer to themselves as the Confederation of Angels and Planets and Service of the Infinite Creator. But suffice it to say, it's a little bit like Star Trek. It would be as if there are many, many, many of these social memory complexes, these planetary consciousnesses that have all agreed to work together and to help civilizations like us progress in our spiritual development and evolution. And so in this case, they're saying you can always ask them anytime to join you in their meditations, and they're not gonna like materialize in front of you. They're not gonna appear to you visually necessarily, and they're not going to like say anything to you necessarily. But they're saying that they can offer you this carrier wave of love, a vibration that will help you stabilize your own vibrations if they're kind of needing some strengthening, some backing up. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I have made that a habit of every time I do my meditations, I call on Ra and Kuo and all of our friends in the Confederation to join me in meditation. And it's usually for Mother Earth. Usually when I do meditations, I'm mainly praying for Mother Earth. And that helps me give something to focus my attention on. Mohammed, any thoughts, reflections to add on this?
I think if I recall correctly, I did mention that the fifth density confederation, they serve others by sending love and light, just by sending love and light. So maybe that's what they're referring to, if
I
I'm not
think,
mistaken. Is that correct?
if I'm remembering the passage correctly that I think you're referring to, yeah, they were saying there are some members of the Confederation that's all they do. That is their job. They just stand there and radiate love and light out to the universe or to all. In this particular passage, I think they're saying anyone who asks them to join them in meditation, some members, I don't know how many, will in fact join you and send you that love to help stabilize. Is that what you're asking about? I'm not sure if I really answered your question. If you had a question.
Oh no, I think, it's a similar concept.
Indeed. Elaine, any thoughts, reflections on this?
Oh, I love the thought that Kuo, Ra, the Confederation, they are with us, and they've experienced what we are experienced. They're just a few steps ahead of us on the path towards the one infinite creator. And it's like they're extending their hand to us and leading us, I thought. And I also ask for Kuo and Ra and all the angels and guides from the inner and outer planes, and just they tell us we're here for you and take advantage of us. So I do, and it's just beautiful. And they say this uh, so many times in all of these channelings, just just think of us, ask for us. We're there for you. And I just love that thought.
Indeed. Yeah, and like so many other things in this density, in this incarnation, you kind of have to take it on faith, because as many times as I have asked them to join me, I can't say I've ever really felt any particular presence there. But I always ask my spirit guides and my guardian angels to join me in meditation as well, and I ask them to help me do what I came here to do this day, and I always thank them for the help that they're giving me. And no, I've never seen them, and I've never heard them speaking to me in voices, but I definitely have faith that they are there, and I'm very, very thankful for the help that I've been given. Jasmine, did you have any thoughts, reflections on any of this to add?
Yeah, just that, honestly, in my meditations, and I know I've seen it before, but I've never really thought to invite Quo or Ra or Latui in to help with my meditations. So I'm going to start doing that from now on. I always invite my higher self or the master within. And again, if I'm doing an energy session, I will invite my Reiki guides, but that's something I just typically have never done, is ask the members of the Confederation. But thank you for reading that, because I will be doing that from now on.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you've been doing pretty fine without them so far, but hey, could always use some more help, right? Yeah, Elaine.
I just want to thank you, Jasmine. When you were talking about asking your ego to go to sleep during your meditation, I'm going to use that. That is so helpful. And thank you so much for that, because you're just absolutely right. Our ego gets in the way. I know mine does. And so gently asking her to go to sleep. I'll wake you when I need you, but right now, just take a nap. I'm meditating. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to tell you that.
I love that too. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Elaine.
You're welcome, Elaine, but do be warned, if your ego mind is anything like mine, she's going to push back and she's going to try everything she can to convince you that, nope, if I go to sleep, something terrible is going to happen. The sky is going to fall. And you just have to be patient and send her love and light and let her know how valued she is. And you will be calling her, you will need her. But right now, for this 30 minutes or this 40 minutes, just go to sleep.
Thank you. Yeah, she's a huge control freak. So I'm sure it'll take, a lot more than gently asking her to go to sleep, but I'm going to start with that. I'll start with that, Jasmine. Thanks.
As Samuel L. Jackson once said in his great children's book, please go the fuck to sleep, I believe is how he
Oh, that's even better. I love that one.
said. Yeah. And I have seen photographic evidence that Elaine's ego is a biker mama. So I believe we can safely say she is not going to go gently into the night. Well, my friends, we have come to just about the end of our time here, and this is where we ask the question, where do we go from here? After looking at all the information that we've dumped on you in the last hour and a half or so, what are some takeaway lessons, maybe some things that might be easy to remember? I guess if I could say one thing, it would be good to remember that there are many forms of meditation, that anything can be a form of meditation. So try any number of different things out, and it doesn't have to be sitting in silence. Walking in nature can be a meditation. Working with something, working with your hands on something can be a meditation. Dancing, chanting, anything can be a form of meditation. But meditation is, one could say, is about being one with Creator and one with love, because all is one and that one thing is love. So anything you can do that enables you to open your heart in love and to feel like you are a being of love, to feel like you are channeling the love of the Creator out into the world, you can consider that a great meditation. And our friends in the Confederation have said many times that is the best way you can be of service to others, is to just be yourself on the deepest level and to channel that love in your own way. So find a way that works for you and make a habit of it, as we've said many times. See if you can find a time of day where you can set aside a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that you can say, that's the time that I'm going to meditate. And then stick to it and practice it. And the more you do it, probably the easier it will get. And remember, lastly, that there is no bad meditation. Even if it seems like it was a bad meditation, there's things that are happening in your unconscious because your intent has become to be one with the Creator, to be one with love, and to reach deeper into your subconscious. There are benefits that might not be obvious to you at that time, but maybe later. Panelists, anything to add to this? Jasmine, any thoughts, reflections on this?
I think you summed it up perfectly. I just enjoyed being here and having this conversation with you.
We really feel lucky to have you here. Thank you for being here. Mohammed, any thoughts, reflections on these last little bits here?
Brother, you summed it up perfectly, first of all. So that's a good job on you. Kudos to you. Second of all, I love being here. Thank you all. And I would just add one thing, that is to say, see for yourself. Don't just rely on us, you have to see for yourself sometimes. Maybe none of this seems to be the way it is for you, and something else is meditation. Who knows? So please experiment and see for yourself.
Well said. Super important. Elaine, any last thoughts, reflections on any of this?
That was a perfect thing to say, Mohammed, because we have to trust ourselves and have faith that however we meditate, there is no bad meditation, and trust that if your intention is to become closer to the Creator, and see love in others and in everything around you and in yourself, you're good. Have faith, trust yourself. Yeah, that's a perfect reminder. And Jonathan, just thank you once again for all that you do in service to all of us with this. And it's been a joy to be with all of you.
Nice. It has been a privilege and an honor to be able to hang out with you guys, and it's been super fun. But as you know, we are not done yet, because we do have one more little piece of business to take care of, and that is the pop quiz. Pop quiz, of course, was an expression that Carla used to use to refer to the little tests that we get each day to find out if we really have learned the lessons that we came to this incarnation to learn. And we like doing pop quizzes here at the end of the sessions just to add a little bit of laughter and levity to our otherwise serious conversations about metaphysical things. So panelists, you seem to know a lot about meditation, but how much do you really know about meditation? Let's find out. Today, I'm going to ask you 3 multiple choice questions about meditation, things that we did not talk about at all today. See how many you can answer correctly. As always, the points don't matter. If you had fun, you won. And if you learned something new and interesting today, that you won as well. Those watching on video, feel free to say your answers out loud, and we can hear you through time, space, and space-time. Panelists, your first question is, in what country do the oldest recorded references to meditation appear? Is it A, China, B, India, or C, Egypt? What do you think?
I think. Oh,
Go
we
ahead.
don't
I
get
was
to
going to say,
say.
just go ahead and
Oh.
say them out loud anytime.
Oh. I'm wondering about if it's Egypt.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, it is.
Nice. I like the commitment. That's nice.
I really have no clue, but I'm just guessing.
I'd say Egypt as well.
Nice. Mohammed?
I'm guessing C.
Nice. As far as I can tell, the correct answer is B, India. Apparently, the earliest written records of meditation come from the Hindu Vedas around 1500 BCE. Other forms of
Oh.
meditation were also recorded at around 600 to 400 BCE in China. I did find one Egypt travel site that says it was practiced there 5,000 years ago, but I really could not find confirmation of that anywhere else other than a Egypt travel site, which I would say is probably a less than reliable source. So someone out there, feel free to do your own research on this and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. Otherwise, panelists, has anybody been to Egypt or China or India?
No,
I really
No.
want to go to Egypt. I've always wanted to go to Egypt.
Indeed.
There's
Have you,
just
Mohammed?
something
You're
about it.
closer to there than anyone else on the panel. Have you been to Egypt?
Sadly, I have not.
Is it
Sadly,
something
no.
is it something you're hoping to do, want to do? Oh,
I'd
thank
hope
you.
so in the future, yes. Well, hell yes. Why not? See what the Ra civilization built.
I would love to see the pyramids. I am sure they are really something to see in person that the photos just don't do justice to. I've never been to India, never been to Egypt, but I've been to China a couple times and got to visit Tibet. And Tibet was super cool. I loved the visit there. Lots of oming and lots of prayer wheels there. Panelists, are you ready for your second question? Your second question is this.
Let's go.
What is the Sanskrit name for the yellow energy center? Is it A, the Manipura chakra, B, the Panipuri chakra, or C, the Vadapava chakra? What do you think, panelists?
I think it's A.
A is a good guess.
A.
I'll just say B, so B doesn't feel bad because I have no clue.
Nice. And Mohammed said A
I'm
also?
going with my
Nice.
yes.
For the record, I write these pop quizzes to be unanswerable. Nobody's supposed to know the answers to these questions. We're not giving away $10,000 or anything. I don't give a shit if you know the correct answers or not. And hopefully you don't care about it either. Ideally, what I'm hoping is you'll learn something fun and interesting that you might be able to drop into a conversation later. Otherwise, you are correct. A is the correct answer. The Manipura chakra is the Sanskrit name. The other two words are also are actually popular snack foods in India. Just thought for the fun of it. Which brings us to the question of snack foods. Does anybody have any favorite snack foods? Because I love potato chips.
Oh,
Miriam and I just love potato chips, and we try not to have them in the house too often, but when we do, yeah, I love them. Does anybody else have any favorite crappy snack foods that they like to eat? Guilty pleasures?
Lorna Doone's shortbread cookies.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
yum.
I've never had them. Is that at the
Uh,
supermarket?
yes, it's in almost every supermarket,
Ooh.
but
I've heard the brand name. Yeah.
yeah, shortbread cookies. That's my guilty pleasure.
Nice. Does that go back to childhood?
It does. It does.
It sounds like it would. Yeah. Nice. Mohammed, Elaine, got any favorite snack foods?
I'm a popcorn addict.
Oh,
I
nice.
I make popcorn in olive oil and I put real butter on it. Oh God. And then I put Parmesan cheese, garlic salt, and nutritional yeast. And yeah,
Wow,
that's
that
been my
sounds awesome.
dinner many, many times in life with a nice glass of Cabernet.
Nice. Popcorn and red wine. That's nice. That's a diet I'm definitely going to
And
have to look into.
a movie or a good, really good book.
I'm more a tequila guy
That's
myself. I'll have to try tequila and popcorn.
oh well, I like tequila too. So
I do. I have to admit, yes, I really enjoy tequila. Mohammed, any favorite snack foods? Oh, we might have lost your signal there, my
frozen.
friend. He's calling all the way from Beirut, Lebanon, so that's pretty
Oh, no,
impressive.
no. I think I've got you now.
Heard you.
Forgive me, guys. The internet here is really bad. So, my favorite snack, which is not really a snack, I love fruit juice. If it's really ripe, fruit juice is for me. I don't really eat any junk food. Personally, I don't like it.
Oh, interesting. So what kind of fruit juice?
Watermelon juice and orange juice, if it's ripe. The
Mm.
orange must be ripe, otherwise I don't like it that much.
Wow. So these are fresh oranges you're squeezing yourself.
Oh
That
yes,
must be
for
really
sure.
nice. Yeah. Oh,
That's
that's
the only
wonderful.
way to do it.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for you. You have the healthiest snack food cravings of the group. I can tell you that. All right, panelists. One more question. One more question for you. Which of these well-known third
Thank you,
density
brother.
entities publicly spoke about their meditation practice? Was it A, Jerry Seinfeld, B, Jerry Springer, or C, Jerry Garcia? Which Jerry was it who spoke publicly about their meditation practice?
I'm gonna say C.
I was
I'm
thinking
gonna say
C. Jerry
yeah.
Garcia. Yeah.
C's good guess. Mohammed, do you know any of these Jerrys? You might be at a little bit of a disadvantage here if you don't know any of these people. They are fairly well known in the United States. Any guesses? Oh, we might have lost Mohammed's connection again. Crap. Well, much as it would be wonderful if Jerry Garcia practiced meditation, as far as I can tell, he never did, or if he did, he never spoke publicly about it. Jerry Seinfeld, on the other hand, of all things, the very popular stand-up comedian who had a very successful sitcom in the 90s, has spoken publicly about it quite a bit. And I believe it's transcendental meditation, TM, that he's practiced for a long time. I think he was doing it before the Seinfeld series even happened. So it's something that's been part of his practice for a long time. And would love to interview him sometime. Would love to hear more about his meditation practice. It must be fascinating. I have no idea how that works as a stand-up comic. Otherwise, yeah, Jerry Garcia. Are you guys Grateful Dead fans?
I'm a
Jasmine
fan of
says no.
No.
his playing.
Yeah.
His playing is
Never heard of
incredible.
him.
Oh, Grateful Dead came out of the 60s. There were a lot of great bands that came out of the 60s, including the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and a lot of psychedelic stuff from San Francisco, California. So Jerry Garcia was the lead guitarist for a band called the Grateful Dead, and they're a really, really great group. Loved their music, had a lot of their albums, and got to see them in concert a couple times. It was super special. Not as special as this time that we are sharing here together, though, and I believe our time has pretty much come to an end. So, panelists, again, I really wanted to thank you for being here and sharing your love and sharing your wisdom with all the rest of us. Elaine, did you have any last thoughts you wanted to share before we say goodbye?
Just gratitude for each one of you and for anyone who finds this podcast. It's just a beautiful thing that we're finding each other and studying the law of one and making our way towards a social memory complex on this beautiful planet. So
Indeed.
just gratitude for all of it. Thank you so much for inviting me
Thank you
to
so
be
much
a
for
part.
being here. You bet. Jasmine, any last thoughts you want to say before we say goodbye?
Just wishing anyone and everyone who sees this podcast peace, love, light, and unity.
Indeed. Thank you. And Mohammed? Mohammed, are you there? Any last
Just want to
thoughts?
say thank you to Elaine, Jasmine, and you, Jonathan, for giving me a good time. Thanks to all those on our planet. And thank you for bearing with this internet as well, because it's terrible.
Thank you for being here. It's a really big deal for you to make contact with us from Beirut, Lebanon, in such a part of the world that seems to be so troubled with war and bellicosity, which I believe we'll be talking about
Yeah.
in a future podcast episode. But you're just being there. You're existing in physical form and breathing in and out in that particular place. I can only assume is really helping lighten energies in that part of the world as well
Thank you,
as the
brother.
whole planet, all of creation. So thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be with you and with all of you. Panelists, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. And to all our friends at L&L Research, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. For everyone who's still watching this on video in the near future or distant future, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. We're sending you our love and light, and we're receiving yours. Until next time, in the love and light of the one infinite creator. Adonai. Namaste. Love y'all.